So I call myself the remote work advocate, meaning that I advocate for new ways of working, flexible working, because I believe that the 9 to 5 model, the way that it has been designed, and has been quite a while, over 100 years approximately, it doesn't belong in today's digital era. And additionally, I also believe that everybody should have the opportunity to work for a great company no matter where they come from or live, because the digital era makes it possible. So I work with companies not only to let them embrace hybrid and remote working, but I also draft legal solutions to make sure that people really have the opportunity to work in companies that are in different countries, because it is possible nowadays.
Okay, but for a layman or for somebody, though we now are very conversant with the idea of remote working after COVID, but did you start talking about remote work culture after COVID, or is it something that you have always been toying with even before the pandemic struck the world?
I started working remotely in 2015 and nobody knew what I was doing. I was myself really surprised when I got the first opportunity. I thought, this is not right. You have to go to an office to work. It turned out it was completely different, which was a very big surprise to me. And then it was an eye-opener, and I started understanding that, well, all of the experiences that I combined within my professional work, well, they don't have to be done locally anymore. I can go global, and this is exactly what I did. And then the pandemic came, and of course that has boosted interest within remote work.
Do you mean you meant you can go global while staying local?
Absolutely.
Is that what your mantra?
That's the whole point, yes.
But tell me, in 2015, when you said you were going to office, what was the nature of work that you're doing? Were you working in the government sector or the private sector? What is the nature of work that you were working there?
I was working partly in the private sector, partly in the government sector. So I was working for a Swiss company in the US within the sales department, because I speak multiple languages. And at the same time, I don't know what I did, but I was probably applying to different opportunities countrywide. I cannot tell you, but suddenly I got an offer from California telling me that I could start working remotely as, at that stage, at that time, a legal translator and also a live interpreter, because of the languages that I speak. And I was very reluctant, but then I thought, hey, let's give it a try, and that's how it started.
So they offered you this remote job in 2015.
Yeah.
Did you yourself understand what remote job meant back then?
No, I didn't. I thought it was a scam, to be honest. I remember that before I received my first check, because they would send paper checks in the States, to a certain extent they still do it, I was thinking, okay, what's going to happen now? I never met these people. I have no idea what this is even about, and will I ever be paid? And it happened. And then I was extremely surprised that actually I started making more money working remotely than working on site.
Okay. And when did you decide to go completely on your own and establish the website and started talking about it to social media? Tell us about your journey.
Yes. So my journey has been very turbulent. So to this extent that even in the very beginning, when I started building my own brand, which was in early 2019, I of course heard that I was delusional, right? So utopian, they told me that everything that I advocate for doesn't make sense and that this is not serious work. But of course, this is me, and I wasn't listening, because I already knew that for me it was serious work. So then at that time I started writing articles. I even remember the story that when I started my website, I first built it on my own on Wix, because I didn't have the resources to pay anyone, right? It took quite a while when I was able to hire an agency and everything, but I started writing...
So you funded your own website?
Yes,
completely.
I did, and I started writing articles on my own.
And which year you made your website?
Wix, yeah. So this is like an online Wix.
Wix.
W-I-X.
Okay, use that
Yes,
one. Okay.
Exactly.
Not the current one that you're
Not
using.
the current one,
okay.
no. But it was very simple. I mean, I'm not an IT person, not really knowing how to do it, but I learned. I had to, and then I started writing my first articles. So I just sat down and I thought, hey, what do I want to share with the world? And I started writing, and I mean, now it's been 6 years. I have over 100 articles on the website, also including videos. I thought that I really want to reach people from different perspectives. So some like reading, others like watching. So I also started at a certain stage a couple of years ago creating sarcastic, engaging videos, because I think that when people laugh about themselves, then
They get the message.
they get the message.
So you do it on social media like
Yes.
Instagram?
Yes.
What other platforms?
And LinkedIn as well, primarily.
Both of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But what is the medium which you use primarily for engaging the audience?
The primary medium is probably LinkedIn, just because when we're talking about B2B, when we're talking about companies interested to work with me, but Instagram is more for individuals who are interested in learning more for themselves.
But what is the kind of reaction you got, both when you first spoke about remote work concept, you yourself felt you're delusional because it was something that was not in vogue. Perhaps the vocabulary had not even been formed. What does it work from home mean? What does remote work mean? And then after COVID, when people messaged you, I'm sure you must have got mixed messages. How did the people from across geography react to the kind of work that you did?
I think there is a very big misconception in the world, and this is still happening now. So people tend to mix up three different things. So I like looking at it from the perspective of an umbrella, okay? So the umbrella that we have, imagine an umbrella, the umbrella is called flexible working. Within this umbrella, we have different things. We have condensed working hours, for example. We have part-time work, for example. We have hybrid working. We have remote working as well. And within remote working, we actually have working from home. So working from home is not the same as remote working, because within remote work, you can actually use co-working spaces. You can even work abroad if there are policies. And a completely different thing even is pandemic work from home, which is not intentional, not designed, it's not a business model, but it was an emergency solution. So it was never sustainable.
So did people, what was the kind of reaction did you get? I mean, were some people also rude to you in telling that, like I said, you're talking about utopian concept that doesn't exist, even after pandemic, and then when things went back to sort of hybrid / fully functional offices and said, oh, she's still talking about remote working. What kind of reaction you had to face? Did you also had to face some very rough reactions from the audience?
Always. I mean, there are still people who will come and they're probably unhappy with themselves that they can't work this way, and they comment and they say, whatever you're saying is not true. I'm like, well, hello, look at me. I am a very genuine person, and I also share a lot what I do. And what I also express is that it really takes a lot of work, and it's a different story if you are on your own and you're really growing and building something rather than just working for a certain company. But of course there is still pushback, and we see what's happening within the media, return to office, and that's a different discussion we could actually have at a different time, and what I think about it. But it is definitely doable. It requires a lot of work. And for me personally, I mean, I am not even thinking about stopping, because this is something that I believe in. And I mean, I wouldn't exist professionally if it wasn't for remote work. I owe everything to it. And that's why I have no words to describe what it has.
Are you
been
happy
to
with
me.
the choices you've made in your life?
Absolutely.
Especially this choice?
Yes, but it wasn't easy. So it was going against all the odds, you know. Everyone saying, no, it can't be done. And I'm like, yes, but it can be done. If someone wasn't agreeing with me or told me, no, you have to do it this way, then I would say, well, I'm sorry, but probably it's not going to work out. So I left, and I was starting again and again and again and again, until the moment when today I would say people don't really question me that much, because finally, after all these years and all of the hard work, I have really gained, luckily, credibility and trust.
But what did it take you, both in terms of overcoming challenges, Ms. Harris, and also the fact that you had to demonstrate yourself in a world that is also not just constantly evolving, and there is this pressure on employees to go back physically to work. Many of them, in fact, after the pandemic was loosening its grip on the world, and slowly they were returning to offices. Many people had gotten used to the idea of, though of course it had its own flip side of health issues. So, I mean, did you factor in the health issue of working remotely, where people perhaps are not going to be very active, so physical fitness might not be perhaps on the agenda?
I like that question very much, because as a matter of fact, I started going to the gym regularly 3 years ago, and I do this 3 times a week, and I never walk in an office. I've never been in better shape than I am right now, okay? So, sorry, but I mean, I'm also very honest. What I want to say and how did it happen, I think in terms of the challenges. So there are two things that I do when I see the pushback. Number one is leading by example. So I try to show exactly what I do, how I work, how I travel also, because I work and travel at the same time. I call myself a part-time digital nomad, so I work from different locations. But when I work from home, I actually share actively my routines, right? And also my boundaries, when I start, how I sit, when I again go to the gym, when I move, how I build connections. I don't just build connection at work, but I engage with local communities also when I travel. And then in terms of the pushback, I think that I challenge everything by asking tough questions. Because if you ask the right questions, sometimes you may hear a response which is no because no, no because we've always done it this way. And then you know that you've already challenged that person. And this is exactly what I'm
hold you
trying
here.
to do.
You used the word digital nomad. I mean, that's a term, of course, I'm conversant with. And but when you say you are traveling and working, I mean, if you have to explain this to somebody in a very different geography, or let's say to our viewers in India, that what does Miss Nadia Harris do for a living? So if you can just explain in as simple words as possible, what is it that you do for a living?
My laptop is my office, and I usually take it with me everywhere, not here right now. And within this office, I am able to work with multiple companies and connect. I have all the tools, I have all the software. So I work with companies as myself as a consultancy. So building flexible working solutions, as I mentioned earlier, from both a legal perspective, but also processes, procedures, also from a tech perspective, all of the tools, also in terms of intercultural collaboration, because this is very important. When companies go global, there are cultural clashes. And this is exactly what I do. I am also part of some companies as part of their team, so I call myself a fractional HR professional as well.
Fractional?
Yes, fractional meaning I'm not full-time usually, but sometimes to a certain
You have very
extent.
different nomenclature for yourself. You are a digital nomad, you're a fractional HR person, then you're a remote work advocate, and what else do you call yourself?
Oh goodness, I'm a passionate traveler probably. In addition to that, I really love exploring. I think that I always need to get new experiences, and all of the learnings that I get from all of the people that I meet, I try to bring them to light, meaning everything that I share and everything that I write, it's not just coming from what I think, but what I hear from the people. So I'm really trying to be the voice of all the experiences that are being shared with me.
Do you have clients in India?
I have worked with multiple agencies from India in terms of events, participating in events, and I've also done some consultancy. I cannot reveal the name because it's very confidential, but it is a very big brand which also embraces remote working, by the
But
way,
you have
globally.
traveled to India?
I have never been to India, unfortunately, but I believe that
Would you like to, Ms. Harris?
Absolutely, I would love to.
If that doesn't clash with your remote work idea.
I'm a Bollywood fan, so what can I say?
Okay, Indian viewers will be happy to hear that. You watch any of your movies that you remember that you have watched recently,
Oh my goodness.
or any actor that you remember?
Yes, there's this one, the most famous actor. What is his name? Oh my goodness.
Mr. Shah Rukh Khan.
Oh, of course, Shah Rukh Khan. Of course, yes. Yes. I mean, how could I not say it right away? Of course, yes.
He's also popular in many of the countries that you're associated with.
Absolutely. So when you mention this name, everyone knows.
I'm just last couple of questions, Ms. Harris. We talked about a very heavy subject, a very complex subject. I want to come back now to something very basic. The story of Nadia Harris. Where did she begin? Where was she born? How many cultural spaces, geographies she has traversed through, and has that added to her, if I may use the word, database of experiences to navigate skillfully the world that she's facing and encountering now?
Yes. The story again is turbulent. So I was born and raised in Germany. So I was part of the typical German culture, but in addition to that, my mother is Polish. My father and part of my family is originally American. So I was everywhere a little bit, so to say, and I didn't feel that I belonged, right? And that has always
Anywhere.
been anywhere at the end of the day. So I have also lived in different countries. I also stayed in Italy for
How many
quite a
countries you
while.
said?
Multiple countries.
Multiple.
So yes, so mostly that was within Europe, and also different destinations within the US. And then I figured out that whenever I was in a certain location, I thought, okay, that's not enough. Why can't I work there? Why can't I be there? And I was always triggered by the possibility of being able to do more and being everywhere and connecting with everyone. And then at a certain stage, I thought, hey, why should a location limit us in terms of everything that we are doing professionally? It shouldn't. And I had multiple experiences in terms of my professional life. I think
And also personal life?
Yeah, professional life. So I changed my career 4 or 5 times actually. I was a teacher, I was a translator, I was a salesperson, I was a lawyer. I am still a lawyer today.
So you're a trained lawyer?
Yes.
So if you can share with our viewers your educational qualifications?
Yes, labor law. So I graduated initially from law school in Poland, and then I did another degree in the UK. Now,
You mean master's degree?
Yes, so like a JD within Poland, but then an LLM degree I did in the UK.
This is which year talking about, your LLM?
Sorry?
Which year you earned your LLM from UK?
3 years ago.
Which university you went to?
The Upsley Business University.
Okay.
And it was actually also partially remote, which is a very funny story, because in that case I didn't have to move. In the meantime, I also did another degree in the US, which is the Clark University, and this is business communication, intercultural communication, by the way, and that was also hybrid. So see, I mean, there is no other way. I'm telling you that my career, in my career, I owe everything to remote work.
My last thing, Ms. Harris, when you look at the world outside and the world within you, do you find harmony, or do you find a constant sense of clash and contestation and an idea to reconcile, or do you feel that you found at peace with yourself, with the choices that you have made and with the steps that you've taken, bold steps, as I would say, perhaps, or many of our viewers perhaps would understand, because it must have taken you a lot of courage to take those risks, and your own well-wishers, your own family members may have perhaps advised you to go for regular.
That's right.
Yes. They did?
Yes.
And your friends, they must have
that I was
cautioned.
crazy. Yes, they did. And
What did they think about you?
That I was crazy, especially when I moved to the States and I bought a one-way ticket with no return, and I thought,
You
okay,
did? This was which year you did?
2015. Yes, I was so fed up. I graduated from law school. I was already a trained lawyer, but that it was in Poland at that stage, and I thought, I don't want to stay on the Polish market. This is not enough. So let's drop everything. Let's drop my license, buy a one-way ticket to New York. Goodbye.
So you went to England?
To New York.
To New York, and then
Yes.
how long did you stay there after that?
A year after that, because then I started working remotely, and then for family reasons I knew that I was going back to Europe, but already working remotely in the States, so it was a win-win solution.
But did you also have to face immigration issues everywhere? Because
I know where you're heading, but I am also a U.S. citizen, so I wasn't dealing with immigration.
that's why that was not an issue for you.
That wasn't an issue, but I understand the issues very much these days, because this is exactly what I do within my work to make sure that people can be hired in other countries where I know that immigration plays a significant role. And this is actually why I keep pushing my vision to change that a little bit. And there are innovative solutions on the market that enable flexible hiring, and I'm really happy that this is happening, because as I said, everyone deserves a chance, just like I build it on my own for myself.
It's not a question, but it's maybe the last thing. Ms. Harris, how many languages do you speak?
5.
Can you just tell the 5 languages?
Yes, English, of course. I think you figured that out. German, Polish, French, and Russian.
Wow, that's that itself you'll have to navigate through to get your head around it, wrap your head around it. Last thing, what's the message that you would like to send out there to women, young women like you out there, and especially those who perhaps have the talent and but not the wherewithal, not the financial capabilities to move from one place, or their parents are unwell so they can't move, but they still are talented enough to get a job. What is the message that I'd like to give them, and what's the way out that I'd like to suggest to them? Both in India and elsewhere.
I think it's persistence. It's a long process. I would say don't take advice from people when you wouldn't like to be in their shoes, okay? Only look up to people who inspire you. Only look up to situations, envision the situations that you would see yourself in, okay? And in addition to that, don't look back, plan, execute, and you need a lot of grit, I would say, just like I did. And if you hear people around you challenging you, don't pay attention to this. And if you find at least one or two people around you that will be your advocates and that will believe in you, this is what's going to give you the energy. And no matter where you are, no matter who you are when you're watching this, if you're on the mission to achieving something you're dreaming about, you can be assured that I'm with you.